SUVs undoubtedly rule the market today, but there's still a case to be made for the good old 3-box sedan. Well, yes, that's what Skoda India will have you believe, because they are back in the C segment with the all-new Slavia. Now what this is, it's a sedan based on the same underpinnings as the Kushaq. But then, can it rid you of your SUV obsession? Well, yes, that's what we are here to find out.
First things first, the Slavia is one handsome looking sedan. The design is clearly inspired by the 4th gen Octavia, meaning the Slavia also looks distinctive and European. Up at the front, you'll notice Skoda's signature grille with chrome treatment around, while the sleek pair of LED headlamps give it a mini Octavia-like appearance. The bonnet has sharp creases which gives the car a beefy and masculine appearance. In terms of dimensions, the Slavia has the longest wheelbase among the competition and it's also the widest. Side profile is quite elegant and classy as it should be. Bold and prominent character lines run across the length of the car, and a slanting coupe-like roof is one of the main highlights of its design. There's a subtle use of chrome and it's quite tastefully done. The 16-inch wheels do look a size smaller though, but considering our road conditions, 17 inches would have been an overkill, both for the life of the alloys as well as the ride quality. One more thing that's clearly evident is the Slavia's high ground clearance of nearly 180mm. Not everyone will like it, but then that's something of a necessary evil while designing a sedan that's meant to be driven on Indian roads. At the back, it's a familiar sight as the Slavia's rear end is bold and distinctive. You get a pair of upmarket looking split LED tail lamps with crystalline effect and big bold Skoda lettering running across the width of the boot lid. Having said that, the rear design is probably my least favorite bit in its design because from certain angles it does look a little awkward and slap-slided. Overall though, if you talk of the design in general, the Slavia looks very premium, attractive and pricey, and that's something buyers of this segment will definitely appreciate and like about the sedan. When you step inside, it's a familiar affair. The overall design and layout of the dashboard are similar to the Kushaq. The interior has a dual-tone black and beige color combination which goes well with the car's premium positioning. Everything feels well put together. The overall fit and finish is great and the cabin is large, spacious and practical. Taking center stage in the top-end style variant is the same freestanding 10-inch touchscreen infotainment with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. As expected, it's quite intuitive and works beautifully. The screen has crisp visuals and the display is super responsive. The 2-spoke leather-wrapped steering wheel is similar to the Kushaq, and in terms of features and equipment, the Slavia is as well equipped as its high-riding sibling. You get ventilated front seats, climate control with a touch panel, 2 USB Type-C ports, a sunroof, a wireless phone charger and more. On top of that, the Slavia's interior gets a couple of crucial updates over the Kushaq. For instance, the top variants of the Slavia come with a virtual cockpit digital driver display which is identical to the one offered in the Taigun GT, and the AC vents are now round. Another big update is the new roof liner, which is of better quality and looks more premium than the Kushaq's. On the safety front, dual airbags, electronic stability control and traction control system are standard on all variants of the Slavia. The top variants get 6 airbags in total. Front seats are supportive and feel quite comfortable over long drives. However, they don't come with electric adjustments and we think it's a bit of a miss.
So in terms of rear seat space, well, this is quite a spacious car because of course this is a sedan and it has the longest wheelbase in its segment. So in terms of legroom, well, yes, it has got ample space and even you sit here quite comfortably. These seats are quite cushiony and they are very comfortable. Then you've also got these AC vents and you've got twin USB Type-C ports. So overall a very practical cabin. Even the bottle holders have decent space and the seat pockets here are also quite practical. In fact, there's a sleeve here for your smartphone. So overall it's a very practical cabin, but of course if there is one complaint that I have is that the headroom is not that great. I mean, you can feel my head is touching the roof. So it's that slanting roof that's that eats into the headroom of this car. So if you're a taller passenger, if you are someone who's above 6 or around 6 feet, so you are going to feel this thing. But overall, I'd say it's a very comfortable cabin and the seats are really nice and cushiony. So in terms of practicality also, I think you're more or less covered.
The Slavia's party piece is its boot space, which has a massive volume of 521 liters. In comparison, the Kushaq's cargo space is only 385 liters. So, in terms of space and practicality, the Slavia has a clear advantage over its sibling. What's more, in terms of driving experience, as you'll now come to know, it's even better.
So the Slavia 1 litre TSI has familiar mechanicals because this is the exact same engine that's been used in the Kushaq 1 litre as well as the Taigun 1 litre TSI. Now this one, the one we are driving today, is the 6-speed automatic version. This is a torque converter. But then there's also the manual version, which is a 6-speed manual. And then you have the 1.5 TSI, which we'll be driving later on, that comes with the manual, 6-speed manual, as well as a 7-speed DSG. So exact same specifications as the Kushaq. So that means in terms of power delivery, in terms of performance, this is more or less the same engine. So this particular engine develops 114 bhp and 178 Newton meters of torque. So like we've experienced in the Kushaq, the performance is quite sprightly, it's quite brisk. There's a hint of turbo lag at lower RPMs, but the mid-range is really solid. And once you're on the move, this thing just absolutely flies. In fact, in terms of outright performance, I'd say it's very close to the 1.5 litre engine when you consider everyday driving, when you consider the drivability that you need in daily traffic or driving on the highway as well. Because on the highway and in the city, I think this engine can give the 1.5 litre version a run for its money. Now, where it lacks, well, of course, it's a 3-cylinder engine. So in terms of refinement, it's not the most refined unit. In the sense, it is quite refined if you compare it with the Honda City, the 1.5. But the 1.5 TSI 4-cylinder engine that's available with this car as well, that's of course more refined. And this one at idle, you can feel those pulses, those 3-cylinder pulses. You can definitely feel that it's not balanced. And then even on the move, it feels a little coarse. So at lower RPMs, there is that thing because you feel the engine is kind of loud. It's not loud as, like I said, in the Honda City. The insulation is really phenomenal. But the 1.5, when you drive that engine, well, of course, that is going to be more refined. Now, the gearbox, of course, it doesn't have a DSG, but this is also a very good gearbox in the sense the shifts are quite quick and it complements the engine really well. So there is not really a gap in terms of performance. Like I said, it is a fast car and you don't actually miss a DSG gearbox in here. So in terms of that, I think this engine and gearbox is perfectly suited for daily driving, for highway driving. Even if you're driving long distances, this is a very comfortable, very refined unit. Now, the other thing is, of course, it's a 1 litre engine, so you might feel, this for a car of this size, it is underpowered. But like we've said with the Kushaq, this engine never really feels underpowered. It has the performance. It's a 1 litre engine, but it has 114 bhp. So it feels powerful everywhere. When you compare it to the 1.5, that's when you feel that, of course, the 1.5 is much quicker. But then in daily driving, this doesn't feel underpowered. And this car weighs nearly as much as the Kushaq. It's actually sitting on the same wheelbase, that is 2651 millimeters. So in terms of dimensions, in terms of weight, this car, of course, is just like the Kushaq. But overall, when you drive this car, this somehow feels more balanced in the sense it's low. Again, it's a sedan. So you feel more confident driving this car fast in the way it holds the road. It definitely is more confident. In fact, if you compare it with the other rivals, I think it is probably now the best driving sedan of the lot. In terms of dynamics, you don't have to compare it with the Kushaq. Actually, this is a sedan, so of course it feels much lower to the ground. It feels more confident in the way it changes direction. And the steering also has a lot of feel, and it is quite decent in that sense because the way this car drives, the way this car goes around corners, it is a really great handler. Of course, it's a little soft sprung, so and it has 16-inch wheels, so the profile is also quite tall. So in that sense, you can figure out there is prominent body roll. But overall, I'd say this is probably the new benchmark in the C segment in terms of sedans, because the Honda City, it feels quite soft, even though it's a great car. And then the Verna also, it's again great, but it doesn't have that sort of connected feel like this car has. So overall, this feels very European. This has that typical Skoda element in the way it rides, because the ride quality is also phenomenal. It does feel a little stiff when you're on rough roads at low speeds, but overall it's so well damped, it's so comfortable, and it's so nicely insulated from the outside world. So in that sense, I think it feels like a proper premium sedan. And overall, I think in terms of ride and handling, in terms of performance, even this 1 litre engine, which Skoda says that is going to be the mainstay, well, this has everything going for it. So overall, my first impressions of the Slavia, well, they are greatly positive because I think this is a perfect product. It is an all-rounder of sorts. It has all the bases covered in terms of handling, in terms of engine performance, in terms of how it feels, in terms of how it looks. So overall, this is the 1 litre version which Skoda India is saying is going to be the mainstay, and this is the car that's going to take the fight against the likes of the City as well as the Verna. So they are going to be pushing this car more than the 1.5 TSI version. So overall, I think it all depends on the pricing of this product, but Skoda India says that they are going to price it very close to the Honda City, which is their main competition. So that means this 1 litre version is going to be priced roughly from 11 lakh rupees to 15 lakh rupees. And I think if they price it right, this is a clear winner.